Jesus. Spiritual empowerment is a big part of your. Can you share a story maybe of a time when God empowered you, or someone you were ministering to in a way that only He could?
Ooh. I can remember a friend of mine was going through a really challenging time in their life, had got diagnosed with this crazy diagnosis.
Mm.
And I believe God for their healing. I was crazy enough to just believe that God was going to heal them. And I said, I don't know how He's going to do it. I don't know when He's going to do it, but I just believe that He's going to do it. And I remember we were in a service, and I felt a prophetic unction, and I felt the Lord empowering me to do this. So out of obedience, I did it. So on this piece of paper, I wrote clean bill of health and gave it to the individual. Months later, times later, they were healed by the glory of God. I'll never forget the moment where I felt the Father empowering me to empower somebody else. And through my obedience, I don't have the capacity to heal. He does. I'm just the vessel in which He flows through. And that was something that really transformed how I function and how I wanted to bring hope and healing to the people of God, because He still heals, He still delivers, He still sets free. And so that was a moment in my life in ministry I'll never forget it.
Wow.
I sat there and I sensed that, and I knew the Holy Spirit was empowering me to do it. And out of obedience, I tore a piece of paper off and I put clean bill of health and slid it to them. And I'm sure they probably was just like, what in the world, but they were believing as well. So they had an expectation. And so other people was praying. So it wasn't just my prayers alone, but that was a moment in which I know that the Father was empowering me to empower someone to hold on to what He promised and what He said.
Type of confidence in the Lord that it takes to be able to make that declaration, and then you stand on it because like this is what the Lord said. I'm just thinking, I know, like it's so scary because it's like, I don't want to, I want to say it at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I live here.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, God, you really, you won't have to do this because look, I ain't trying to have no, no uprising talking about I done missed. And like, but it really, even in that moment, like, in the Lord Legend, and you were able to do it. I mean, like, to me, like, it's just something to look up to, because I can tell you there's a lot of people that, you know what I'm saying, like they would have heard the Lord and be like, nah, well, we'll go ahead and let somebody else do it.
Pick somebody else, right?
Like,
right.
So yeah, I mean, but that's so awesome to have been able to have empowered somebody and to be able to see it for yourself, because it does, it does wonders for their faith, but also for yours in so many ways.
Yes.
What you were talking about earlier, just even in, like, having the self-esteem stuff, right? It feels like it is a difficult sometimes to look where the Lord has you and not feel like an imposter.
Right.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like,
I do.
You looking, you know what I'm saying? Looking at, it's like, I'm like looking around at all these people they're doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's like, oh, she's doing so great. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what am I even doing up here?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, me, I try to sort of play the background sometimes, just because, I don't be that, like, that guy to try to be in the front like that anyway. But you know, it's just like I know like my relationship with the Lord. I know how much, you know, everything that I do, and I know the reason that I do it, so I can stand, you know, I can stand on that integrity. But you know what I mean? Like it can be difficult to just, you know, you know, like, you know, like, oh, I'm just me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even, you know, I don't even feel like that's like that's so important. So it's, I mean, but when the Lord is moving that, we like, oh, well, yeah, okay, well, I forgot. He's not a respecter of person.
That's
Like,
right. 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 He gonna use who is submitted and
yeah,
who is yielding and available. You
yeah,
know, that's all you need to do is yield the vessel.
yeah.
If he could use an ass, surely he could use us.
Listen, this, sis, listen.
Woo!
So you you've been a long time champion for the youth in Baltimore. And also I want to go back to where we were talking about the kids campaign and the outreach efforts. Like what drives your passion for youth development and family stability?
Because I want the youth and young adults to have opportunities that even as a young adult, I never had. And like I shared
Mhm.
before, remember, I was a young teenage mother, at 14. And, you know, my family did the best that they could to help me. And I will be eternally grateful for my daughter. Good shout out to Whitney, who I love, who helped to change my life. But for the better, I want the youth and young adults to have an opportunity to come into the fullness of who they've been called to be without the negativity or the outside voices and influences that pull them away from who they're called to be before they even have an opportunity to come into the fullness of who God created them to be. So I want to create that safe space for them to grow, for them to dream, for them to be everything that they've been created to be, in a healthy environment with somebody pushing them, for somebody telling them that they could do it, for somebody telling them to go after it. And so for me, it just fuels me, to see young people free enough to be who they've been called to be before the world, society, life happens and sucks the life and the dreams and the creativity out of them. So for me, that's what makes me do the outreach. That's what makes me even want to be able to do more. I try to do all I can to be hands on because our youth are not the future; they're today. And if we don't make that investment in our youth, our young adults, and our children, then where is the legacy?